are you?
This year usually you can there's apparently some holidays next week.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming tonight to our spring high school concert. We are so thrilled to have you. You'll hear me speak a few times tonight. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Liam Keller. I'm the director of orchestras for the district, and I could not be more proud and honored to be standing here in front of you tonight with some of the best and brightest string students in the entire state. You're going to hear from 3 different ensembles tonight. Our first is our concert orchestra, which is students grades 9 through 12, which is a non-auditioned group, and they sound absolutely phenomenal. After that, you're going to hear from our 5th grade chamber orchestra, and for our final portion tonight, you'll hear from our high school chamber orchestra. Sit back, relax, and please enjoy the beautiful music. Now, typically I have students speak in between pieces just about what you're about to hear. And tonight I decided to go a little different and just let the music speak for itself. However, we have a senior who 4 years ago, we played a piece by Gustav Holst named The Planets. And he started his speech with, "Jupiter is a planet," which has become a running joke in our orchestra. And you will hear a single student speak tonight. And it is just because he is a senior and I would like to honor him. You will hear Varun now speak about Inverno.
Can you all hear me all right without the mic, or do you want me to use this thing?
Use the mic.
All right, bet. What's up? Mr. Keller gave me a great introduction. I'm Varun. Our next piece is called Inverno, but before I begin, I would like to give you the lie of a lifetime. Winter is a season. Shocking, I know. But it's not just a season, it's also a movement of a famous piece. The Four Seasons. I'm sure many of you, there we go, are aware of it. Some as a hotel, some as a piece. But we are playing an arrangement of the winter season called Inverno. It features a lot of very fast runs, and you will hear much from our first violin section going up and down. We will be playing this without a conductor. Mr. Keller is going to be back there playing bass. Yeah, that's all. Enjoy the piece. This will be our last piece for tonight. So yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
I'm going to step aside for 1 second so that all the parents can get a picture of the full ensemble. Okay. If you give us just a few short seconds, you'll see tonight that we have some mini high schoolers with us as well. A few years ago, we started a 5th grade chamber orchestra for students who wanted a little bit of an extra challenge and some more music to play. And I can tell you that I kind of planned on having about 40% participation, and we're closer to like 85% participation, so it's just a 2nd, 5th grade orchestra. But these students are absolutely incredible. Once our concert orchestra leaves the stage, I'm going to welcome up our 5th grade chamber orchestra. They'll be playing 2 pieces tonight. The first is Sahara Crossing, which they'll be playing by themselves. The second piece is called Golden Grove, and they'll actually be playing that piece with our high school chamber orchestra as well. So just give us a few minutes while they come up on stage and you'll have some more music.
At this time, I'd like to welcome up our high school chamber orchestra to perform with our 5th grade chamber orchestra. Maybe. Oh, there they are. So just a little bit about what these 5th grade chamber orchestra students have accomplished in a short amount of time. We've only had about 9 rehearsals total together. They don't get lessons on this music. They have to learn it actually outside of class. And we only came together about 9 times to work on dynamics, articulation, blending together, and making sure that we played as a full unit. And they sound so fantastic. This is a wonderful group. One more time for the 5th grade chamber orchestra.
In just a few moments here, you'll hear from our high school chamber orchestra, which will be our final performance of the night. Before we get into that, there are just a few people I'd like to thank tonight, and just a few things to let you know about. The first, I'd like to thank Dr. LaSousa, Dr. Sortino, Dr. Donahue, the Board of Education, the principals at the high school, the principals at Lafayette, Mr. Bryson, Nick Slenley, and all of my incredible coworkers for allowing us to do what we do. While we are our own separate ensembles, this music department team is the strongest that I've ever been a part of, and we really couldn't do it without each other. We lean on each other so much, and we also couldn't do it without all of your support. I apologize for the ridiculous amount of emails you've gotten from me in the past couple weeks, but I am really excited to announce or let you know about tonight our concert that will be happening on Saturday to fundraise for new cellos and basses in the district. Our cellos and basses in this district haven't been replaced since right around the time I was born, and I turned 30 this year, so not 40. These students are some of the best, brightest, and most dedicated that I've ever had the chance to hear, and they deserve instruments that can really keep up and match what they give on a daily basis. And we can't do that without all of your help and without the district's help. Now, the district has gotten us started really, really nicely by giving us $26,000 to spend on new instruments next year. Just to give you an idea of what that will buy us, that's going to currently get us 7 cellos and 3 basses, which is fantastic. We're looking at a grand total over the next 8 years of raising about $120,000, which means we are well on our way. So if you don't know already from all of my emails and social media posts, we are having a fundraising concert this Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m., which is going to feature students grades 3 through 12 playing some of their concert music and just showing off what really makes this program so fantastic. And I couldn't also do it without the help of my co-teacher, Dr. Mario DeSantis, our new middle school orchestra teacher. Now, you're in for a real treat for the next 3 pieces. It's a very diverse program. The first piece that we're going to be playing tonight is Hoedown from Copeland's Rodeo. And it is a really fantastic piece. It's blisteringly fast, and it is just a quintessential American classic. And the string players are really doing a great job of it. The next piece that you'll hear is actually split into 2. It's by a composer named Edvard Grieg, and you'll hear the 2 elegiac melodies. Some beautiful pieces of music that really just show off the musicality of this ensemble. And I'll announce the 3rd piece last because it's quite special and I'm very excited for you to hear it. Please give us just a few minutes to set up for our chamber orchestra. We're going to take just a short break right now because before our final piece, I'd like to recognize all of our seniors tonight. So seniors, both concert orchestra and chamber orchestra, can you please come up to the stage and just line up in the front? Okay, so this is our very large senior class tonight. Before I say anything about the senior class as a whole, I'd like to recognize each of them individually and just speak a little bit about what they're going to be doing post-graduation. I'm going to ask that you hold your applause until we're done with all of our seniors. Caroline Cavanis has been in the concert orchestra for all 4 years in high school and has played since 3rd grade. She's also a section leader in the Chatham Voices. Outside of school, she's in the New Jersey Youth Chorus and plays volleyball. She will be attending Mount Holyoke College in the fall to play volleyball and study music and psychology. That's fine, we can clap in between. Andrew LeConte has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played violin since 3rd grade. Outside of concert orchestra, Andrew is an Eagle Scout and has been involved with the Pulp Literary Club throughout his time at Chatham High School. He's also a National Merit Commended Scholar. Andrew will be studying computer science this fall and has asked me to read a quote. "Don't wait for the future to do what you want. By then, the time won't be right." Andrew. Sophia Pack has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played since 5th grade. Outside of school, she said she doesn't do much, but she really does. She will be attending Franklin and Marshall College in the fall, majoring in biology and studying to become a physician's assistant. Sophia. Matt Terranova has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played violin since 3rd grade. In high school, Matt played for 4 years in the concert orchestra. Outside of orchestra, Matt plays baseball and is involved in NHS. He is also a leader for St. Patrick's Youth Ministry. Matt will be attending Indiana University Bloomington. Bucknell, you didn't change it. Will be attending Bucknell in the fall and studying finance. I also have to quickly say about Matt, he really suffered this year when my Eagles won the Super Bowl, and he is a lowly Giants fan, had to watch me gloat. So thanks for that. That was a great end to your 4 years. Josh Tavati has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played the violin since 4th grade. Outside of high school, Josh is an up-and-coming music producer and plays varsity volleyball and track. He is also president of the chess club and the chapter lead for CS Base. Josh will be self-studying entrepreneurship and AI integration in the fall. I can attest Josh is an excellent rapper. Richard Zhang has been in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played violin since 5th grade. Outside of school, he builds telescopes and tutors elementary school students. He will be attending University of Maryland in the fall and plans to study aerospace engineering. Richard. Jessica Bao has been in the orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played the violin since she was 3. She played in concert orchestra her freshman year and has been in chamber for the remaining 3 years. At CHS, Jessica is the president of the Red Cross Club, co-leads the AAPI Alliance, and volunteers as a Lynx leader. Outside of school, Jessica can almost always be found on Lake Hopatcong, where she serves as the captain of the Row New Jersey girls rowing team and has trained and raced for the past 4 years. Jessica will be attending the United States Naval Academy this summer and remains undecided, though she hopes to service select in aviation. Go Navy, beat Army. Ben Burnich has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played the bass since 6th grade and played the cello before that. In high school, Ben played bass for 3 years in chamber and 1 year in concert orchestra. Outside of orchestra, Ben is an Eagle Scout and plays football. Ben will be attending Tulane University in the fall, studying public health. I'd also like to point out that Ben is still taller than me and I'm on a platform. Skunda Krishnan has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played the violin since 2nd grade. In high school, Skunda was a member of the NHS and vice president of the chess club. Outside of high school, Skunda is an A-rated fencer and is nationally ranked. He is also a CS-based chapter lead. Skunda will be attending Stevens Institute of Technology in the fall, where he will be fencing and studying finance. Isabella Santucci has been in the orchestra since the 3rd grade, advancing to chamber orchestra in her senior year. Outside of orchestra, Isabella shadows a pediatric oncologist and volunteers for NHS by tutoring the violin and French. Isabella also plays other instruments such as the guitar and the piano. She will be attending the University of Pittsburgh to major in biological sciences on the pre-med track in the fall of 2025. Bonnie Son has been a dedicated member of the CHS Orchestra program for all 4 years of high school and has played the cello since the 5th grade. She was part of the chamber orchestra for 2 years. Outside of music, Bonnie is a 4-year varsity épée fencer on the Chatham team and serves as captain of the épée squad. She is also the president of the Psychology Club and a member of the National Honor Society. Bonnie volunteers at Fox Trail Memory Care, a dementia care clinic, where she also conducts research into dementia and cognitive decline. In addition to her school and volunteer work, she tutors younger students and babysits. This fall, Bonnie will attend the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where she plans to study neuroscience. Nate West has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played viola since 3rd grade. In high school, he played viola for 3 years in our chamber orchestra. Outside of school, Nate fences and plays volleyball. He's also the secretary of his class's student council. Nate will be attending North Carolina State University in the fall, studying chemical engineering. Olive Wu has been playing cello in orchestra since 3rd grade. In high school, Olive played in concert orchestra for a year and chamber orchestra for 3 years, as well as in the pit orchestra for 3 years. Outside of chamber, she runs a cupcake business called Tuxedo Cupcakes, who also made my wedding cake, out of the Chatham Farmers Market. She has also been on the robotics team and co-president of Computer League for 3 years. Olive will be attending Tufts University in the fall, studying computer science. Eva Marinin has been a part of the orchestra program for all 4 years of high school. She still cannot fully sight read, even though she technically started in 3rd grade. Outside of orchestra, she's been the 3-year foil captain of the Chatham fencing team and prop master for the past 6 shows in the Chatham Theater. She's helped out with all the Lafayette productions and the summer arts camp for the last 4 years. She has also been able to bless Mr. Keller's classroom with accurate drawings of Mr. Keller year after year. Very true. From Head Show, the first time she performed in the auditorium to now being her last time, she couldn't be more grateful for the experiences and people she's met through the arts. Eva will be taking some time off before continuing her academic and artistic career. Who knows where, wherever, and whenever she goes, she plans to continue a path in art and design. I'd also like to add, for those of you that have not seen Eva's drawings of me, they are some of the highlights of my day.
They are very bold. Very bold.
They are the best. She is an incredible artist, and I hope you get to see her work. Varun Venugopal has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played violin since 3rd grade. In high school, Varun played for 2 years in concert and 3 years in chamber. If you don't think that maths, it doesn't. He doubled in chamber and concert orchestra this year. Outside of orchestra, Varun is a member of the better Chatham Robotics team, Team 9853. He also fences epee. Varun will be attending NYU in the fall and studying mechanical engineering with a minor in robotics. He'd like to shout out his parents, grandparents, brother, and Emma. Lily DeTana has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played cello since kindergarten. In high school, she's been involved with the CHS Pit Orchestra, and outside of school, Lily teaches cello lessons and is a proud member of the New World String Quartet, who you heard when you first walked in today. Lily will be attending the College of New Jersey in the fall and studying English and elementary education. I'd also like to give a personal shout out to Lily for the last 4 years of keeping that quartet in line. If I need something done, I don't even email the rest of the 3 of them, I just email her and it gets done. Jonathan First has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played violin since 3rd grade. Outside of school, Jonathan has been involved with the New Jersey Youth Symphony for 7 years and hopes to continue playing violin in college. He is also the co-president of CHS's German Club, as well as vice president of the Green Team. Jonathan will be attending the University of Maryland in the fall and studying mechanical engineering. He also hopes to spread the health benefits of frequent cabbage consumption to his fellow classmates at college. James Lee has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played violin since 3rd grade. In high school, he played for 3 years in chamber orchestra, 2 years in pit orchestra, and 3 years in our region orchestra in New Jersey. Outside of orchestra, he's also the president of CHS's academic team and the co-president of the National Math Honor Society. James will be attending Princeton University in the fall studying math. Ishir Rao has been involved in the chamber orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played viola since 4th grade. In high school, Ishir played for 5 years in the New Jersey Youth Symphony. He is also a member of the Chatham High School's New World Quartet. Outside of the orchestra, Ishir is an Eagle Scout and works as an EMT at the Chatham Emergency Squad. He's also the president of CHS's Research Club. Ishir will be attending Yale University in the fall studying molecular biophysics and biochemistry. I also do need to shout out Ishir. It's taken 4 years, but he was actually on time for something tonight. He showed up 2 minutes before the deadline, and I am so unbelievably proud of him. And finally, Brooks Wang has been involved in orchestra. Brooks Wang has been involved in orchestra for all 4 years of high school and has played the violin since 1st grade. At CHS, he has played for both orchestral ensembles as well as the pit orchestra for the school musical. He's also performed as a member of the New Jersey Youth Symphony, New Jersey Region 1 Orchestra, and the New Jersey All-State Orchestra. Outside of music, he is co-president of CHS's National Mathematics Honor Society. Brooks will be attending UCLA in the fall studying mathematics and physics. Now, before we continue, I'd like for you to just hold for 30 seconds because I do have a gift actually for the senior class. Turning the label around, no free advertising. Okay. I would just like to speak about this senior class as a whole for 1 second. It is not an animal. This senior class, it's really hard to put into words what this class means to the orchestra program, to the school, and to myself personally. These are some of just the most dedicated, hardworking, and just good people you will ever have a chance to meet in your life. I tend to go back and look and reminisce on things. And I was looking at our orchestra page today when I was on Facebook when I was posting about our concert this Saturday and about tonight. And the heading is the chamber orchestra from the first year that I was in the district, which was in 2019-2020. And we had 4 first violins. We had about 6 second violins, 3 cellos, and 2 violas, and a bass. And our program has grown to what you saw tonight, has expanded to our 5th grade, and I can take 0 credit for that. That is truly through the hard work of the seniors that you see standing up here today. Every single time, I have some outlandish ideas, and they will attest to that. And every single time I bring something up that I think will help or something that I think will be good for them, their first response is, yeah, of course, let's do it. And it may seem small, but it's just the greatest privilege in the world when you have students who will work with you to make things better and truly care, not just about what they're putting into it, but about every single person that comes after them. They are, I could go on all night about this class, but they really are one of the most influential classes that I will ever have the privilege to teach. And I am going to miss them dearly next year. I'd like to present the senior class with a gift, something that I really think symbolizes the last 4 years of what we've done. Brooks, can I have you be the representative for the senior class?
So, in order to keep the privilege alive and the tradition alive, I'd like to present the senior class. For those of you that don't know the backstory, we go on a music department trip every single year. And a few years ago, we went to New York City, and we had a few extra minutes to kill before we went to Carnegie. Do not eat the cabbage. Goodness, they're too smart for their own good. And before we had a chance to go to the Carnegie Hall concert, it was pouring rain, and we decided to kill some time in the mall at Columbus Circle. At the bottom of that mall is a Whole Foods. And I made one of the worst decisions of my teaching career, and I let a bunch of high schoolers loose in a mall in New York City. I was around, but I let them have some freedom. They came back with a cabbage. We were walking through the streets of New York in the pouring rain on the way to Carnegie Hall, and for some reason, for like 8 blocks, I didn't realize they had a cabbage. And we're about to enter, and I see them with the cabbage, and I go, under no circumstances are you bringing the cabbage into Carnegie Hall when we're about to hear the Philadelphia Orchestra. And on the corner of 57th and Broadway in New York City, they took the cabbage, tried to throw it into a trash can, but being the athletic orchestra kids that they are, entirely missed, exploded the cabbage on the ground of 57th Street, and looked at me and went, all right, let's go to the concert. And if that doesn't just encapsulate the brilliance and the humor that this class has, I really just don't know what does. So I hope you treasure this cabbage. I hope it brings great luck to you in the future. And I really can't wait to celebrate with all of you for the last month of school. Before we go to our final piece tonight, I'd also like to say we have some cake outside to celebrate our seniors. I hope you'll all stay, take pictures, and just reminisce over what have been an incredible 4 years for this class. Thank you, seniors. If you could head back to your seats now. And that's how traditions are made. We now have a 5th grade cabbage. All right, Emily gets the cabbage. You can all fight over it later.
made another bad teaching decision. Our final piece tonight is actually something that's going to feature our soloist and our senior concertmaster, Brooks Wang. Our final piece tonight will be the first movement of the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. This is the second concerto that the orchestra program has ever done. About 2 years ago now, James Liao, a senior cello player, played the Elgar Cello Concerto. And I asked Brooks last year, I gave him free rein to pick any piece that he wanted to do. And his first decision was the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto, which is actually surprising because from freshman year, every single day, all he would play would be the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. The chamber kids can attest to this, some of our alums can attest to this. It's all you would hear. And he plays it just with such grace, such power, but with such touch. You're in for a real treat. I'd like to welcome to the stage now our senior violin soloist, Mr. Brooks Wang.
One more time for the chamber orchestra.
So Mr. Keller, before we get off stage here, if anybody saw my panic gestures there when Mr. Keller is presenting our gift, it may have be because we are planning something and we were trying to figure out when to do it, but I think now is the perfect time. So without further ado, I think all of us seniors would like to present you with a few parting items. Just so that you remember our time here, remember how great we were. Yeah, so first, of course. Next up, we got these custom made for you because we know that cabbages will not last. These will last forever, and you can keep them near you so you can remember our time here as an orchestra forever. And then, yeah, these are cabbage tea canes if you can't see them. From Miss Lightus, middle school teacher. So finally,
I think it's best you unwrap this one.
finally, our last gift. We had exactly the same idea as you. And so, and while Mr. Keller appreciates his excellent gift, I also just want to make sure we're clear on a couple things. So, firstly, the cabbage in New York, we did end up cleaning it up and throwing it in the trash can. To be clear, we did not just leave it on the streets. We did not just leave it on the streets. Secondly, Mr. Keller likes to say that we're the only ones responsible for this orchestra program being as amazing as it is, but that is definitely not true. None of us would be enjoying orchestra nearly as much as we are without Mr. Keller, and Mr. Keller makes the orchestra program what it could never be without him. Not only does he always push everybody to be doing better than they ever thought they could, with Brooks, with his concerto, and with everybody else, he also is just such a genuinely nice person and such a genuinely good person to be around. As much as he likes to claim he's not, he is a genuinely good person deep underneath there, underneath the layers of cabbage and deep in the yolk of his brain somewhere in there. He makes class an amazing time. I think I speak for everybody here in saying that orchestra is a class that we will always look forward to because somehow he survives through our antics. It's genuinely impressive. So we just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Keller, for making this orchestra program amazing and for all of our years in orchestra.
Thank you all so much for coming tonight. There's one thing that I forget to do every year that I refuse to let myself forget this year. Seniors, don't move. I somehow always forget to get a picture with my seniors at the last concert, and a lot of them are going on internship Monday, so if I could just get a picture with my seniors.
Mr. Keller, sorry, one more thing. I almost forgot. I hid it in my music, so I almost forgot it.
No more stickers.
No, it's not another sticker. It's a card. Signed by all of the senior class, so you can remember us forever.
Where did you get all these pictures?
Got them saved, and there's
It's horrifying.
so many places. One look at the back too. The back is good. Do you want to read it out?
As your gift, sure. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. They tell me I look like an egg. So everybody please hold on just for 1 second while I get a picture with my seniors, and then we'll all go eat some cake. Thank you for coming.